The debate still continues. Gas versus diesel. I have two High Country 2024 Chevy HDs, and I haven't done this before. This truck has the 6.6 gas engine, right? You guys see right there. And this one has the diesel. Obviously, these trucks use DEF. So we're going to add that into the analysis here. Now, this diesel engine cost $9,490. I borrowed these trucks from Seiner Chevrolet here in Salt Lake City. They're both available for sale. Let's go ahead and drive the gas truck first, and then we'll drive the diesel right after. This gas engine, which is known as the L8T, by the way, it sounds really good. It sounds like a big boy gas engine for sure. And when you're under light acceleration, there's a lot of torque. But if you hit it anymore, I don't think that it doesn't feel as strong as I would like it to be. I've said this in the past. I love this engine. I just think that it just needs like 50 more horsepower, especially for the elevation that I'm at. Now, when you're on the highway, you really can't tell if this is a gas engine. Like, if you're just cruising like this, if someone just stuck me in the seat at this speed, I wouldn't know if I was driving a gas or a diesel truck. Let's look at the RPMs. Like, that's the only giveaway. If you look at the RPMs, you are going to run higher with this gas engine. But the engine is quiet. You don't really hear too much of it. And this truck does feel lighter too. That is something else you would notice. As soon as I took that curve just now, you have a little bit more sway when you're going at a higher speed with a diesel. It's just so much heavier. But yeah, this truck does feel perfect for those people who only tow a few thousand miles. They want to save the $9,500 on that diesel. Now, the only negative is if you're going from diesel to gas, it's hard to see the fuel economy. Like, I know that in some cases the gas and diesel does get pretty close, but when you're on the highway cruising, I feel as though the diesel just gets so much better. Not so much, but I would say like 3 MPG better. So I can't wait to show you guys the differences here. Like, right now I'm running at 75 miles an hour, and I'm probably at about 1800 RPMs. And these trucks, they're both 3500s, I believe. I did not even look at that, honestly. So if one is 2500, that would suck. Because I wanted to be apples to apples. Like, the only difference between the two trucks is this one has a sunroof, the other one doesn't. And of course it has a diesel. That's it. So they're pretty apples to apples, because I did a test like this in the past, but the trucks were not close in terms of the equipment. So yeah, that's what I liked about this test, is they're pretty identical trucks, even down to color. So here are the RPMs at 65 miles an hour. So we're just at 1600 RPMs, 1550 if you want to be exact. And you guys can see we're right at 14 MPG. I'm just kind of cruising right now. Now, I have to do the 0 to 60 at some point, so I will show you guys the midpoint where we are. But once I do the 0 to 60, which is going to be later in the video, you will pretty much see just where this truck gets affected the most. Because when you do wide open acceleration with this engine, it does kill the fuel economy for sure. As far as the curb weight goes, you guys see this truck is lighter at 7,621 pounds, and it's going to probably have more payload because it doesn't have that extra weight. It does have a lower gross vehicle weight rating compared to the diesel, you will see that, but 3,929 pounds of payload, not bad. We just got off on exit 11. And we're just coasting down, but yeah, we're at 16.1. Normally I've already done the 0 to 60 test, but it's been hard to do it in the spot that I've been at, so I want to do it in a different one today. Now, I want to show you guys, outside temperature is actually pretty good, 80 degrees, although it does feel a little bit hotter than that. And turn on the AC. One thing I love about the American trucks is their ventilated seats work amazing, because they pretty much suck the air in and out the back of the seat. So they really do have like a nice cooling effect compared to some of the foreign cars that I've ever driven. Like, I have an older Lexus, the ventilation seats are terrible. But yeah, we're gonna go back the opposite direction. 16.1 is pretty much where we ended off at. Not bad. We're back on the highway. I want to show you guys the sound level in here. This truck is so quiet. It's like 60 right here by the window. About 64, 65 out back. .63, not bad. It's pretty quiet in here. No, excuse me. I had a chance to do some mid or moderate acceleration on the truck, and I do like this shift pattern that they have with this stamp approved Allison. It does shift really confidently, and you don't really feel the shifts. They're like almost not even there. It feels like a CVT almost. And as I said earlier in the video, all they need is just a little bit more power, because I feel like when you are higher above elevation, this truck does feel underpowered. I cannot wait to do the 0 to 60 test. Actually, I want to go ahead and set that up. That way it's ready to go for us too. But yes, I want to see if this truck is quicker than mine. If you don't remember, my gas truck was about 10.5 seconds to 60 out here. Terrible. But yeah, let's go ahead and get down the road and I'll show you guys the 0 to 60. This L8T does have a 6.6 liter displacement V8. It's gonna have 401 horsepower, 464 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed transmission, and the rear axle is a 373. Let's see how it accelerates. Here we go. That's just about what my truck got, 10.5 seconds. So as I said, this truck just needs another 50 more horsepower, maybe even more. You know, direct injection engines are supposed to perform better than port injection, but that 7.3, I mean, it does have more horsepower, more torque. Not much more torque, but definitely more horsepower. Here's the stop. 14.8 MPG, 15.7 miles driven. Now the computer said that the transmission was like at 158 degrees. Down below here, that diff got up to about 137. I don't normally do this, but we're gonna do the brakes today. I've always wondered. 227 on the brakes, and tires 103 degrees, so this would be good to compare with the extra weight on the diesel. 270 degrees on the exhaust manifold, and lastly, that's what the intake is showing, about 127 degrees at the height. Now we're driving the diesel. This truck feels heavier, guys. It's so crazy. It's probably not even 1,000 pounds, but it's probably in that ballpark of weight, right? This truck feels heavier. It's crazy. So crazy. Feels a little bit more bumpier, which I'm shocked by. I mean, they could change the spring rate on the suspension. It does feel a little bit stiffer though, for sure. They're both 3500s, by the way. I did verify that. Yeah, this truck definitely does feel just a little bit bumpier. Interesting. But when you have a diesel, you have so much power. I mean, like this truck, I feel as though you don't have to give it so much acceleration compared to the gas engine. And taking this curve at that, yeah, there's more body roll, for sure. And it's because it's a heavier truck, obviously. But you have so much low-end torque. You have so much power. The gas engine has low end torque too. It just doesn't have any power. But again, if you're not towing, and I know this always gets a little touchy. I feel as though anyone that tows 13,000 pounds or more, that's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. And if you're not towing much more than 13,000 pounds, a gas truck will suffice for that, 100%. I told my fifth wheel at the time with my gas truck, and seriously, even at high elevation, going up a 6% grade, I mean, I was able to maintain 50 miles an hour, but with the diesel, you're going to probably go 10 or 15 miles faster. But having the extra power is nice. It's good for just cruising. If you don't tow a trailer, if you need to get around someone, having that extra power, having an extra boost that you don't get with the gas engine, it's just nice to have. You know, I know a lot of people say resale value is going to be better with the diesel, and I agree. Like, trading in my gas truck, I wasn't happy with my trade-in value. I feel like the truck only had 4,000 miles on it, and it was still around the time where trucks were kind of not losing that much value, because there wasn't a lot of trucks in the market at the time. You couldn't get a high country for 2024 within like 500 miles. Like, there was no truck available. So if it was a diesel, I would have been able to get all the money for it. But the gas truck, I probably got like a couple thousand less than what I should have gotten for the truck. But you know, when you think about the diesel, I'm at 75 miles an hour. When you drop down just a little bit more, I'm just over 1,500 RPM. I think I was at like 1,700, 1,800 RPMs with the gas truck, right? And if I were to drop down, let's just drop down real quickly to 65. I'm at 67. I don't have to go any further. But yeah, I'm below 1,500 RPM. So that's the benefit of the diesels. Because of the higher compression, they don't RPM as much as gas engines do. So, but you still have a premium to pay when you buy this truck. I mean, if you want more truck, skip the diesel. If you don't want to pay more, you know, much more over 80 grand. Like, I mean, you can get that truck for under $80,000. This truck is going to cost you, with less options, closer to 90 grand. So I feel as though there are benefits to getting the gas engine. Obviously, you have to figure out, if you have always owned diesel, it's going to be a tough switch at first, but in time, I think you'll get used to it. You know, I did miss the power when I had my gas truck, for sure. So as you guys can see, this truck is, I would say, significantly heavier because of the extra diesel components. Payload is 3,781 pounds, but the reason why that payload is where it's at is because it has a higher gross vehicle weight rating. You know, this is pretty bad actually. Only one MPG better? Wow. This is the midpoint. I'm actually a little shocked by this, like 17.3. I was hoping to be closer to 18 and 19. But the other negative with these diesels, especially if you don't do a lot of towing, and if you don't do a lot of like highway driving, you could get worse fuel economy with these trucks. By the way, is that Ben Hardy right there? That could be Ben Hardy. It might be him. Let's see. That is him. He can't see, he's on his phone. I'm gonna tell him that he should not be texting and driving, bro. We're about 62 decibels right here. Actually, you know what? I have to turn everything off. And actually, I want a little bit more bumpier road. This is definitely not fair, because I did it a little bit further back on the gas truck, so it's a little bit louder here. But nevertheless, one thing I've noticed too, the steering feel, and this is just something with this independent front suspension, guys. Every truck's a little different. So I don't want to say that the diesel is a little bit more firmer, because that's what I prefer, is a little bit firmer steering feel. But this one does feel a little bit tighter, for sure. I'm just going to get over here. I think this road might be a little bit more smoother. Oh yeah, there it is. So 62 dB by the window. '66. And 61 out back. So because the engines are both quiet at these higher speeds, I can't notice the difference. I mean, I just wanted to see something really quickly, just for my own mind. But yeah, it's about the same. It's no difference really. If you put an exhaust on a diesel versus a gas truck, there will be a difference. But yeah, this truck is definitely, it's definitely a little bit stiffer, for sure. You're gonna definitely notice that. But let me go ahead and get my draggy ready to go, because as I've said in the past, this thing sometimes doesn't like to work. So yeah, I'm gonna get that set up and then I will show you guys the 060. This Gen 2 L5P Duramax was updated for 2024, so it now has 470 horsepower and 975 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a stamp-approved 10-speed Allison. This truck's gonna have a 342 axle ratio out back. Let's see how it accelerates. Here we go. No comparison for the performance at all. Like, this truck is just night and day difference. But as far as the fuel economy goes, I'm a little shocked. This truck has to be in a regen. 17.4 MPG, 15.7 miles, which is identical to the gas truck. Here's the transmission temperature. And here is that rear diff. If I can find it, there it is. It's definitely cooler compared to the gas engine. Brakes. The brakes are actually a little bit cooler. Tires are cooler. Interesting. This diesel is just a lot cooler. Man, that's a turbo. My goodness. That is really good. I have a feeling that GM may have updated the emissions on their trucks, because the fuel economy is worse than what I remember it being. I have to go back and watch my older videos when they first released the Gen 2 L5P, because I think I was getting like over 18 pretty consistently when I did it against Fords. And I did a video this year against a Ford, and unless the trucks are just going into regen at this early stage, they're definitely getting worse fuel economy. I may have to just use my truck at some point. But here are the numbers for the tests. As you would expect, the diesel got better, and both trucks have the same tank capacity. You have a better potential range for the diesel. Unless you go in regen, it could potentially hurt you significantly. But when you think about the DEF cost, if you drove 100,000 miles, right? And let's just say you average 450 miles per gallon on your DEF tank, because that's about what you can get. You can probably get a lot more than that, but I just round it down just for the sake of argument, because the wintertime, all these things can change that variable. So if you take 100,000 divided into 450 miles per gallon, and then figure $4.09 a gallon, that's how I got this number here. Now, when you add these two numbers together, and then you subtract it from the gas total cost driving 100,000 miles, the difference between the diesel and the gas is $864.61, which is to the advantage of the diesel. Now, you have to keep in mind, you have to spend about $10,000, if not more, depending on the brand you buy, for the diesel. There's really no savings at all. $864 over the course of 100,000 miles. That is terrible. And if these trucks did not have all the emission stuff, this test would be a lot different. But because of that, you're losing so much more fuel economy with all this stuff. Now, you have to keep in mind, diesels do get better over time, but it doesn't change the fact that you still have to pay something extra for the DEF. Now, $1,000 over the course of 100K is not a lot, in my opinion, but it's just something that you have to account for. So if you're looking at gas versus diesel, this is really something you have to consider. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. See you guys
soon.